What's up everyone, I'm CallumOnToast, and in today's video I'm going to be showcasing some battles in the Championship Series Cup, which by the way we've still got a full week of alongside the Open Master League this week. So I'm going to be honest, I don't think I'm going to be playing at all this week. I'm so bored of this meta. I'm sure a lot of you guys will also be taking the week off, but if any of you are still playing, my submissions will still be open, so feel free to submit some gameplay if you've got some really unique and spicy teams, but do bear in mind it's going to have to be a pretty crazy team to be featured on the channel. Now anyways, for this video, I'm running a triple bug team with Wormadam, Cricketune, and Shadow Pinsir. Now of course, Vice Grip got a huge buff this season, and is actually now a slightly better move than X-Scissor. However, it is non-stab on the Shadow Pinsir, so X-Scissor does still hit slightly harder, and actually, with there not being too many bug resists in this meta, X-Scissor probably is just the move to go for, but hardly any Pokemon run Vice Grip, so I figured I'd at least give it a try, and actually I went pretty positive with this team. So with that being said, let's just get into the question of the day. What do you think is the most important move rebalance that you'd like to see next season? Whether you think a move needs to be buffed or nerfed, let me know in the comment section down below. And with that being said, let's get into the battles now. Let's go into the first battle, leading Wormadam into Grimmsnarl. So this is going to be a fairly neutral matchup here. Wormadam is a pretty bulky bug-type Pokemon. The opponent going to choose to stay in, and they do farm up to a potential foul play. I'm going to no-shield. I'm actually just going to play out the zero-shield scenario. If they do end up shielding, I'm probably going to swap out into my Cricketune, but Bulldoze going to be no-shielded. It drops their defense, and I'm able to Bug-Bite farm them down. I'm instantly going to swap out anyways into my Cricketune as the opponent comes in with their Furret. Now, I can no-shield here. Shadow Pinsir is definitely going to be a lot glassier than the Cricketune, so I'm gonna no shield. I should still be able to reach two X-Scissors before they fully farm me down. First one, gonna connect, and the opponent not gonna throw a charge move hit. Instead, gonna probably shield once and commit to a full Sucker Punch farm down. However, Wormadam is still healthy enough where they will need to throw a charge move, meaning I can expend some of their energy. I believe they're one away from the next Swift, but they don't get there. Shadow Pinsir gets the the Fury Cutter farm down, and now they've got the Dunsparce in the back. And whilst yes, they're gonna be very spammy, we've got a shield advantage. We full send the close combat. That's probably overkill. We could probably settle for a Vice Grip at this point, but either way, close combat number 2 gets the KO, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG's opponent there into the next battle. We're going to see a shiny Shadow Tyranitar in the lead. So, good lead matchup for me. The opponent's actually on SmackDown, which is going to be quite problematic for my bug types. Except Wormadam is actually going to take neutral damage because it is also a part ground type. And the opponent does not respect a Bug Buzz. They come in with a Spidops. I take a while to swap out there, so they are just narrowly going to outpace me. That is a mistake on my end, but we can shield as they fire off the Rock Tomb. I'm now going to look to overfarm, and I will go straight for the Aerial Ace. Of course, X's are going to hit for neutral damage. Aerial Ace is super effective. We grab a shield, but they swap back into Tyranitar. So at this point, I'm going for X-Scissor. X-Scissor is going to grab the final shield. And once again, my Wormadam cannot be farmed down. They have to throw a charge move, and they throw pretty much straight away. Meaning we can come in with the Shadow Pinsir, commit to the Fury Cutter farm down. I believe they will reach a charge move here, but it doesn't really matter. I can use my shield and Vice Grip whilst, yes, we're now going to be debuffed. Should still be enough damage to take out the Spidops here, and if it doesn't, we Fury Cutter farm them down, but it does get the KO, and so I'm able to take that game. So, GG's opponent into the next battle. We're going to see Dunsparce in the lead, and I have to say, a lot of people were thrown off by the Wormadam. I think the type combination is quite unusual. So you're going to see here, the opponent is going to go for a Drill Run, which is actually resisted damage, but they must have seen the ground typing thinking, Rock's resisted there, I'll go for the ground type move, but actually ground is resisted by Bug, and we take neutral damage because obviously Bug does take super effective from the Rock typing. So here, they learn the lesson, they go for the Rock side. At this point, we're taking the shield advantage. Unfortunately, I haven't quite put them into range where I can Fury Cutter farm them down before they get to another charge move, but Shadow Pinsir ahead on energy is quite a deadly Pokemon in this meta. So they go for Rock side there. Worst case scenario, we see like a Frost Sash where the energy is completely walled, but they come in with a Drapion. I'm going straight for close combat. It connects, it does huge damage, unfortunately not quite enough to get the full on one shot, but I swap into Cricketune, catching the Aqua Tail, and their final Pokemon is going to be a Dubwool. So this point, I'm going to no-shield this as a Body Slam, not going to deal that much damage. Actually, it did a bit more than I was expecting. You can see I do have a Hundo Cricketune. I don't know why I built this at all, but either way, it doesn't really matter too much. The opponent has to commit to a full farm down here, and they're not going to get there in time. X-Scissor does big damage. We get the snipe with the Shadow Pinsir. We can just Fury Cutter farm down the Drapion as well, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG's up on there into the next battle. We're going to see another Grimmsnarl. So, going to play this out exactly the same as the previous time. They will outpace me to a potential foul play. But either way, I'm not going to commit any shields here. And if they do end up shielding the Bulldoze, I will swap out. But if they no shield, I'm just going to stay in and commit to a Bug Bite farm down. So, Bulldoze going to connect. No debuff this time, but we still get the farm down anyways. And again, looking to swap out instantly into the Kricketune. The opponent comes in with a Kingdra. That's fine with me. We can go for an Exeter here. And this is probably going to force a shield from the opponent, and it does exactly that. Now I'm going to shield the first charge we've hit just in case they do full send an outrage. It's actually an Octazooka, and they get a debuff, which is unfortunate for me, but we can still go for an Exeter. We can outpace because they went for the Octazooka there, and the opponent is not committing to a full farm down. It looks like they wouldn't get it, and they go and full send another Octazooka, meaning we can come in, get the Fury Cutter farm down. Their final Pokemon is going to be a Shadow Drapion this time around. So previously, Close Combat just barely didn't get the one-shot up against the non-Shadow. However, this time around, I don't think we even need to full send a Close Combat. Fury Cutters have done huge damage here, and whilst Vice Grip is non-stab, X-Scissor would have been slightly better here. Vice Grip still gets the KO, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG's top on there, into the next battle, we're going to see Incineroar in the lead. So, this is going to be quite tricky for me if they're on Fire Fang, which they are. But we are going to be able to go for a Bulldoze, and Bulldoze is, of course, super effective. So I'm going to shield the first move. They do go for a Blaze Kick there. I'm going for Bulldoze straight away. Bulldoze does, of course, have a chance to debuff them. They actually end up no shielding, which is nice for me. But they come in with a Dragalge, which is also not really ideal for this team. Of course, Bulldoze is super effective, but it really doesn't deal that much damage. They full send an outrage. We barely hang on and reach a last-second Aerial Ace here. Aerial Ace gonna be no shielded, and it still doesn't really deal that much damage. So this point, we're going to come in with the Wormadam. I can just barely outpace them to a Bulldoze. I've got to just hope they've got something in the back that is weak to the bug typing. But no, they've got their own bug there. They've got Shadow Venom off. There's no point throwing here. They can easily Bug Bite, farm me down. They go for a Poison Fang. I'm just going to no-shield this. Poison Fang easily gets the KO from that range. And unfortunately, I do lose that game. But GG's up in there into the next battle. Very spicy lead. We see a Garchomp here. This is still a pretty good matchup for me, as the opponent is going to go probably for a Sand Tomb or an Earth Power. Either way, both are resisted, so I can just safely no shield. I probably could have settled for a Bulldoze here, but you know what? I'm going to just go for the kill shot. Bug Buzz gets the KO, but now they've got a Frostlass, and Frostlass is a really tricky Pokemon for me to deal with. Of course, super effective into the Wormadam, and Kricketune is the only Pokemon that can really deal any damage here with an Aerial Ace. Everything from Pinsir is going to be resisted or double resisted. So at this point, I kind of have to double shield here, and I have to just hope that they no-shield an Aerial Ace. So yeah, we're going to look to overfarm just a little bit. I'm trying to throw them off here, hoping that the opponent will end up overfarming themselves and then getting caught out. But no, they are going to still outpace me to the next move. Avalanche gets the KO there. I believe they did overfarm by a single powder snow, so I've got to be wary of that. I'm going to come in with the Shadow Pinsir, and whilst, yes, we can get to a Vice Grip, it would have been double resisted, so I swap out into my Wormadam, and the opponent comes in with a Raticate. At this point, Bug Buzz gets the KO, but if they commit to the farm down, we've certainly put them into range where even a double resisted non-stab Vice Grip will get the KO. So we win CMP, we take out the Frostlass, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG's up there into the next battle. We're going to see Spidops in the lead. So, this is a fine matchup for me. I'm going to stay in here, and I will wait for the opponent to throw. They actually don't even farm up to a potential Rock Tomb. I guess that is neutral anyway, so that doesn't make sense. So, they go for a lunge there. I'm now going to swap into Kricketune, and we are going to go for an Aerial Ace, but they make a very nice catch there, catching the Aerial Ace onto a Shadow Kingdra. At this point, I feel like I should just barely live a Swift, so I'm going to no-shield, and we barely hang on, and we get off the last-second Exeter as well, so that is huge for me. We're able to flip that matchup there as they come back in with the Spidops. I'm now going to come in with my Shadow Pinsir. Of course, they will reach a lunge here, but we can just safely shield this up and then commit to a Fury Cutter farm down. I am going to be debuffed, however, so it does depend what they come in with, but they come in with a Shadow Tyranitar. Honestly, I stayed in for too long there, and I threw way too late. So I might have cost myself with this game here. We go for Bulldoze. Bulldoze, we kind of need a debuff. And Bulldoze does get the debuff, meaning Bug Bites straight through their HP. And we actually get the Bug Bite farm down before they farm me down. And I'm able to take that game. So, GG's opponent into next battle, going to see a Licky in the lead. So, rollouts are going to hit for neutral damage in this matchup, so it's not the worst case scenario. I think, again, I'm just going to play out the zero shield scenario here. As they fire for Body Slam, we can now look to, well, not quite reach another charge move yet, or even our first charge move, but Body Slam isn't really going to deal that much damage. They will need to throw a third move to get the KO. So we go for Bug Buzz. Bug Buzz does not debuff them, and the opponent is going to reach a third Body Slam. So at this point, Body Slam will get the KO. We can come in, get the Fury Cutter farm down with the Shadow Pinsir, and let's see what they want to do. The opponent's going to come in with a second normal rollout user in the form of Miltank, so not ideal for me, but we do have the energy advantage, meaning I can probably bait here with a Vice Grip and reach another charge move. We're going to go for the bait. Vice Grip is going to be shielded, and we're still just barely not going to reach close combat, so I swap out into Cricketune to catch the next Body Slam. The opponent's going to come in with a Spide Ups, but we've got the Aerial Ace coverage. However, these Bug Bites are absolutely shredding through my HP. Aerial Ace going to be shielded, however, and that is huge, and they don't commit to a full farm down. Even better for me. Rock Tomb gets the KO there, but we've already got the Vice Grip loaded. Now, Pinsir is pretty low on HP. Bug Bites shredding through us, but we should be able to live one fast move, and we're able to commit to the close combat, and close combat, super effective. It takes out the bulky Miltank, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG's opponent into the next battle. We're going to see Shadow Tyranitar in the lead once again. So the opponent is this time going to swap out straight away into Dragalge, of which we don't really have a great response here, so I'm actually just going to stay in. Aquatail is going to hit for super effective damage. Wormadam is pretty bulky, and that is non-stab Aquatail as well, so I'm able to tank it. We go for Bulldoze. Bulldoze doesn't really deal much damage there, unfortunately, and now I'm going to swap into Cricketune. I'm just going to shield here, and they full send the Outrage. I could have actually probably tanked an Aquatail and committed to a full farm down, but I'm not going to risk it. Instead, we're just going straight for Xyzza. Xyzza gets the KO, and they come in with an Ariados. So we look to overfarm here. I throw on CMP. I wasn't actually entirely certain that we win CMP, but I guess we do, so that is a good play, actually. And of course, the opponent throws straight away. They go for lunge, so I'm actually going to swap out now into my Pinsir, and this is where Vice Grip is actually going to be very handy, as Xyzza and Close Combat are both resisted, but they end up double shielding the Ariados anyways. Makes sense, as of course they can just go for the debuff there with the lunge. They swap back into Shadow Tyranitar, and they will just barely outpace. However, we've put them into range where we can certainly Bug Bite farm them down with the Wormadam, and we do need that energy because we need to get to a charge move up against the Ariados. Cricketune is way too low in HP, so we are going to just barely be able to outpace them to a Bug Buzz, and Bug Buzz is resisted damage. However, it still does big damage. It actually drops the defense there. We get the Bug Bite farm down. The opponent needed back-to-back charge moves, which they didn't get to, and so I'm able to take that game. So, GG's opponent into the next battle. We're going to see Greninja in the lead. So, this is a matchup where, of course, yes, I'm going to have to shield a Hydro Cannon, but if they do full send a Hydro Cannon, I can actually Bug Bite farm them down before they get to the next charge move and come out with a ton of energy. Actually, still not quite enough for a Bug Buzz there, but we're actually going to go for a bait with a Bulldoze. Bulldoze coming through, and it's actually going to be shielded, and it does drop the defense, which is very nice for me. At this point, I'm going to no-shield this as the opponent goes for a Rock Slide, and now we can full send the Bug Buzz. I've dropped the defense, so Bug Buzz gonna do huge damage there, and we actually get a full Bug Bite farm down. Now their final Pokemon is gonna be a Shadow Charger Bug. I throw straight away, just in case they try to throw it immediately as well. They end up going for the extra Volt Switch, so that is the right play on their end. However, they need to farm up more than that, and unfortunately for them, Xyzza, whilst yes, that will get the KO, we can come in with the Shadow Pinsir. I can safely shield once. I will now outpace to a Vice Grip, and we have put in so much work here with just the Fury Cutter damage. Vice Grip is certainly going to be taking out the Shadow Charger Bug, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG's opponent into the next battle. We're going to see a Shadow Milotic in the lead. So, a bit of a tricky lead matchup for me as Aquatail is going to hit for super effective damage. I'm going to swap into Cricketune, and the opponent is actually going to go for a Wrap here, which is, I guess, fine with me. I'm going to go for an Xyzza. Xyzza might grab a shield from the Kingdra. It might not, but either way, Xyzza going to be no-shielded, and the opponent is just barely able to fully Dragon Breath farm me down. At this point, I'm going to come in and I'm actually going to shield this. If they full send an outrage, they don't make a charge move at all. And the worst case scenario, I end up shielding a Swift and they get to another one. Either way, it's not really that bad. I'm now going to go for Bulldoze here. Bulldoze, gonna be shielded, and again, it drops the defense, which is huge for me. Now, even though this is super effective, I kind of need to save a shield for my Shadow Pinsir. We swap out, and the opponent swaps, but they swap into double. And I have to no-shield this. Body Slam does big damage, but they're on double kick as the fast move, which is resisted damage up against the bug typing. I full send close combat. Unfortunately, it does end up being shielded, but I can now use my final shield on the Body Slam and full send another close combat. Of course, I'm going to have to swap out straight away to clear the debuff here. It's going to be a race, but my Lotic just barely outpacing me to the Bulldoze. Arctel gets the KO, but Pinsir hanging on, surviving one Dragon Tail, getting the fast move farm down with Fury Cutter there, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG to opponent into the next battle. Bit of a tricky lead matchup as we see a Sea King in the lead. I'm actually going to stay in. I'm going to shield this, and then I'm going to swap into my Cricketune. I probably could have just swapped out into Cricketune straight away, but I think I needed the Bug Bite chip damage to put them into range where Xyzza will get the KO, and so this will threaten the shield. So the opponent is going to farm up massively. I'm still going to no-shield this. I should be able to tank this as they go for an Icy Wind, and the opponent then swaps into Licky Licky. Yes, I'm debuffed, but Xyzza is going to be decent chip damage there. That should hopefully put them into range, where a Bug Buzz will put them into farm down range here. So we're going to no-shield the first charge move. The opponent is going to full send a Shadow Ball. I'm now going to look to over-farm, and I should be able to go for a few more Bug Bites before I get the full farm down. So we commit to the full farm down there, and let's see what they want to do. I'm going to swap out straight away. I think this is probably a mistake here as they come back in with the Sea King. If I stayed in there, I think I maybe forced the opponent to throw some energy, whereas now they can debuff me. They've got Shadow Drapion, Shadow Pinsir, useless, down shields, so I'm going to full send close combat. I needed them to no-shield that, which they don't, so this is going to be GG's, and actually they do a very good job of over-farming. Arctel gets the KO, and they've got a second Arctel already loaded, so of course, Arctel will be taking out the Wormadam from that range, and unfortunately I do lose that game. So, GG to opponent into the next battle. We're going to see Licky Licky in the lead here. The opponent's going to say swap into Vigoroth, and that is perfectly fine with me. The opponent is going to fire off the charge move. Even if they rock side, it's only going to hit for neutral damage, so I'm actually going to bank the energy, swap into my Shadow Pinsir, and I'm going to go for a very aggressive one shield, full Fury Cutter farm down, which I'll be able to come out with pretty much back-to-back close combats already loaded. So if they come back in with the Licky Licky, I can full send here. Now I'm going to full send the first one. I expect if I grab the shield here with the first one, they likely shield the next one. So I'm actually going to bait with a Vice Grip this time around. The opponent calls the bait there, which is unfortunate, and we don't even get to the Vice Grip. So that is definitely a mistake. I should have just double sent the close combats there. That way I could have dealt huge damage, probably got the KO there. But either way, they full send a Shadow Ball. I'm going to be able to reach an Xyzza. The opponent catches, but they catch onto an Obstagoon, and that is fine with me. We can now go for the full Fury Cutter farm down. We are very close to the next Xyzza, and we're able to get there in time, which means this should grab the final shield. We've already got the Bulldoze loaded. Bulldoze, it's an awful charge move, but from this range, it will be taking out the Licky Licky, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG to opponent into the next battle. We're going to see Miltank in the lead. So, we are in a slightly worse spot here just because I expect they are going to have Ice Beam for coverage. So, I'm actually going to shield the first charge move here because if they do full send an Ice Beam, then of course they can just settle for Body Slams or potentially even roll out farm me down there. So, we shield the first move. We full send the Bug Buzz. Bug Buzz does huge damage. And now I swap to catch the next Ice Beam onto my Cricketune. Ice Beam is going to hit for decent damage there, but I can Fury Cutter farm them down. Then I'm going to come in with Incineroar, but they're on double kick, which of course is going to be resisted, so actually not that bad for me at all. And these Fury Cutters and X's, they are going to hit for neutral damage here, so I'm going to no-shield this. The opponent goes for a Brutal Swing. And because they go for a Brutal Swing there, of course, it's going to be taking them a little bit longer to get to a Fire-type charge move, meaning I'm able to outpace, get the Bulldoze, and grab the final shield. They go for Flame Charge. That doesn't get the KO, so I swap into Pinsir, and unfortunately, just barely not able to Fury Cutter snipe them before they get to another Brutal Swing. Now, the opponent's final Pokemon here is going to be a Galissapod, but unfortunately, Vice Grip, non-stab, does not get the KO. I think if we had X's of Wasp, yes, that probably still doesn't quite take them out. That puts them into range where Wormadam can Bug Bite farm them down, and we probably Bug Bite farm down the Incineroar as well to take that game, but unfortunately Via Script just didn't cut it there. But GG's to that trainer into the final battle of this video. The opponent's going to Safe Swap into a Shadow Beedrill, and I don't have a direct response, so I'm actually going to stay in, go for Bulldoze. Bulldoze again, gonna drop that defense there. I'm gonna no-shield this, and they actually full send a Drill Run, which again, opponent probably just getting confused by the typing there. Drill Run is resisted by the Wormadam. We can now go for Xyzza. Xyzza gets the KO. I should have really overfarmed slightly more than that, just because there are so many Pokemon that get to a Charge Move in just 9 turns in this meta, meaning if I overfarm there, we force a CMP tie, whereas now, I don't know if I will get to back-to-back Charge Moves. I did shield there, and Kricketune coming in clutch, getting to the last second Xyzza, getting the KO there. Of course, we can come in with the Shadow Pinsir. I can safely shield once. I can commit to a full Fury Cutter farm down. The opponent not going to reach a Charge Move. We get the full farm down, and I'm able to take that game. So that's going to be it for today's video. If you did enjoy it, please make sure you leave a like, leave a comment letting me know, and as well, don't forget to respond to the question of the day if you haven't done so already. And if you want to see more content like this in the future, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on post notifications. That way you'll be notified whenever I upload a new video. Now, if you want to take your support to the next level, you can become a channel member with perks including early access to new videos, shoutouts at the end of each video, custom loyalty badges, and custom emojis to use in the comments of every video. I want to say a massive thank you to everyone that has become a channel member already. Your support is greatly appreciated. And with that being said, thank you so much for watching today's video, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.